Hello, my dear gardeners. You look at my roses and you think, I want the same garden. So today I have 5 good points on how to implement roses to have a successful design in the garden, because roses are not typical garden plants. So here is tip number 1. Spring is coming, all those rose catalogs are laying on our table and the blooms are talking to us, please buy us. But what you have to do, in my opinion, the first important thing, you have to decide what type of gardener you are going to be if you want to introduce roses. There's this old school how people used to grow roses as collections, and there would be a separate bed in the garden where all the roses would be marching soldiers, one after another. The soil is bare and everybody is enjoying different blooms. That's a little nightmare for me, honestly. I don't like that approach, but that was the fashion of the days. And I see it a lot, that the influence of that fashion in public gardens where roses, again, are displayed in separate beds. So you have to decide, are you going to be a rose collector, which is fine. Some people just enjoy growing roses as a monoculture in the garden, and they enjoy blooms, comparing them, the height, the specifications, disease resistance, and so on. But if you want to have a successful garden design, I would advise you to understand that roses are the key players, and the rule, the more the better, does not apply. So you have to restrain yourself. I'm trying so hard in my garden. My garden is not big, it's only 1/5 of an acre. Here I am entertaining the idea that I will get eventually a bigger garden. But for now, I'm telling myself I cannot introduce more roses into this space, because it will turn into a rose garden. As wonderful as it sounds, it's not going to look good. So right now I have 26 roses, I think around 26, and some of them are in the front and they're not doing good because we have shady conditions there, so I struggled with them. But roses at the back here, they love the space. So right away at the very beginning, you're deciding that you're not going to be a rose collector and plant roses in rows, but you're going to introduce them sparingly into the garden. Point number 2. Right away, you have to admit to yourself that you're going to treat roses as the anchor plants in the garden, as the centerpiece, as the show plants. And they do not like the competition. And what I mean visually is they don't like competition, and physically they do not like to compete for nutrients and water in the soil. Very often I visit gardens and I see this unending space of plants going one after another, and each plant is very beautiful, well taken care after. Gardeners are very successful in caring for those plants, but there is no that negative space in the garden where there is this wow, there is no difference between this wonderful plant, a rose, and then there are supportive plants which are playing their beautiful roles, but they are smaller than the main rose. Of course, there are small varieties of roses, miniature roses, but majority of roses are big plants, right? 4 or 5 feet, majority of them, and climbers and ramblers can be huge in the garden, so their presence is even stronger. They are huge anchor, so you have to prepare yourself for that these are the big plants, and they need big attention, they need space, they need air, they don't want to compete for airflow. You can't just jam them between one plant you love and another, and this rose will be just in the collection of all my plants. No, you have to treat roses as the queens of your garden and give them all the space. Point number 3. There was one garden I visited recently, and roses are growing against the usual chain link fence. Of course, roses are beautiful, but that background is taking so much away from their beauty. Right away you see this ugly stuff, and you're watching the fence, you're not looking at the roses. So when you plant your rose, make sure that you design also the background, and it doesn't have to be taller plants. It can be natural constructions in the garden. I love to do that. I love to do the background of roses with something taller. I generally like height in the garden to begin with. So that background is very important, especially if it's a good natural one, and then your rose is there to enjoy. It's not really at the ground level, since roses are higher plants, right? They're a little bit higher to your waist, and since you're not looking down and you see only the ground near your feet, you're looking higher, that background is so much more important. Point number 4. Choose roses based on their function in the garden, not just the rose color. I know some beginner gardeners would say, okay, I have this apricot color here, I'm going to combine it with this pink color, which has apricot shades. They're going to look so good with this rose color. Yes, I understand, but you have to look further than that. Is this rose 5 feet tall, or this rose is 2 feet tall? Do I have a space here for a big, massive climber which will grow, and you will be fighting with it if you don't give it enough space? Is this space good to host a miniature rose? Just here and there several shrubs which will outline their pathway. So, very important not to be seduced by those beautiful blooms, and catalogs are very good at showing us only blooms. Look past blooms. Look at the growing habit, how bushy the plant is. Maybe you want a skinny plant, like Queen of Sweden, which is a very narrow David Austin's rose growing in the front of my garden. Struggling too because of shade. What can you do? So that's the point. Don't look only at bloom's color. Look past that and assess the whole nature of the rose. And the last point, number 5, I kind of touched it in my first point, but here I am talking about it again. Don't get too crazy about accumulating so many different roses, buying so many different roses. I understand the temptation is huge. Once you have a wonderful rose in the garden, you want to have another one. And I'm talking from experience, especially when there are the new tendencies in rose breeding, where they try hard to introduce disease resistance into beautiful blooms together with fragrance. In old age, gardeners had to struggle with spraying roses all the time, but now the priority is that disease resistance. And since roses are behaving more and more like usual garden plants with occasional hiccups, they don't need super extra help in majority of cases, roses which are very disease resistant, right? You think that you want more and more of them. And here our gardens are slowly turning into monoculture of different rose blooms. And some gardens where there are super many roses are still wonderful, because gardeners are very good at introducing supportive companion plants. So if you want to have many roses, make sure you do a good research on supporting plants or companion plants to roses. And here is the video, by the way. Here are my 5 points on how to introduce roses into your garden. Please do subscribe, and we will see you in our next video. Happy gardening!